Thank you for being here today. Welcome to the Business Education Seminar. Just a couple words. We're happy that Jan is here. We're going to have a nice, small, intimate group. Jan will be very thankful if at the end of this we just take a few minutes to give her some feedback, because for her this is a little bit of a solo presentation. She has a partner in her business called Emerge to Success. Is that what the
Emerge with coaching, or just emerge, either way.
And so we're going to talk about goal setting today. In 1 minute, I will hand things over to Jeff, who is our sponsor through Workers Credit Union. But I just wanted to mention, I have a brochure today from the Small Business Development Center. Paula Kamara, who does independent consulting for small business, for entrepreneurs and people setting up businesses, was in yesterday. They have a whole new program of seminars coming up and workshops, so if you're interested, I'll have this at the back. We also have a card with upcoming events. Our next one will be next Tuesday. I think it's next Tuesday. Actually, it's 2 Tuesdays from now. When we will have, the 26th, when we have our next dine-around in February. And we will be at Workers Credit Union up in the Acton office. So we hope that all of you can join us there. Jeff, would you like to just say a couple of words and
Sure.
give us some party favors?
Beware of bankers with gifts. I'm with Workers Credit Union, as you probably all know. We've met before. Workers Credit Union, I'm a commercial lender at the credit union. And some people might say, oh, the credit union does commercial lending. Well, absolutely. Yes, we do. This small, intimate group kind of reminds me of how we like to do business. We like to do business one-on-one, face-to-face, get to know our customers, get to know us. And that's really what we've built our product on lately. So we're expanding. We're looking at opportunities to open up a new branch in the Westford Littleton area. I don't want to give too much away, but keep your eye out for that coming up. So the credit union is a good place to be these days. The seminars that Paula Kamara is going to be doing, I'm very pleased to see that she's getting connected in our community as well. The Small Business Development Center out of Clark University, the office that she works out of, is an excellent resource. So if you know of anyone that is either starting a business or needs to put together a package for bank financing, whenever I get a package from a business owner that's worked with Paula or Mike Holbrook or anyone at the SBDC, I always know just where to turn, looking for where the cash flow is, what's the debt service coverage, because it's all in a really good format that a banker can read and understand. It's an excellent education. It's free. It's free education for small business owners. So in your travels, certainly promote that. I have, like I said, I have gifts. This is the parking pass. If you don't know the drill, I'll explain it again. This is like your credit card. So everybody took their parking pass with them, right? So when you leave the parking garage, or you can go to the kiosk in the front of the lobby, put your parking pass into the kiosk. When it asks for the payment, enter this card. This is the payment. And it'll validate your card. It'll spit your card back out. So when you leave the garage, you put that into the gate, and you can get that out. So here they are. Hello, Jan. And before I sit down, I just want to let you know that I met Jan, 5 or 6 years ago.
I would say.
Or so, as part of a B&I that we were part of together, and her and her partner Karen run excellent workshops. I get to know Jan and Karen very well, and I consider her a very good friend.
Thanks,
So I'm so happy that you're here to present for us today, and I look forward to it because I always need to brush up on my goals as well.
Great.
Great. Tom, you get one? I do.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for coming. And I guess the first question I would have is, aside from your loyalty to the chamber, what drew you here today? What are you thinking about when you're thinking about goal setting, and what would be interesting for you to know about today? Anybody can jump in.
I think the more you think about your goals, the more likely you are to achieve. So anytime someone's talking about goals and goal setting, I'm there.
You're there. Great. Well, we're glad to have you. Vicki, did you have something to say?
Kind of along the same lines. I'm have 2 newer businesses. The more I can refine my goals and keep them in front of me, then the more in control I feel.
Great, okay. Anybody else? Typhoid Dino?
Your goal is to stop coughing? Is that your goal?
What I find, and I'm looking for, is we all have a lot of goals, but we also have very busy days, and unless you continually revisit your goals, it's very easy to just do what's in front of you and answer the squeakiest, squeakiest wheel. So to stay focused so that, and to accept the fact that you can't get everything done all the time. And that keeps you on track for what may make you most successful.
Great.
I'm sorry, Natalie, go ahead.
That's okay. I would say that coming off of January 1st, when a lot of people set resolutions or make resolutions, quite a few years ago, I decided it was much more positive to set a goal than make a resolution. Because once you break the resolution, you're done. You don't have to go back. Oh, well, I'm done. It's February 3rd, and I have 11 more months to go. But if I set a goal and I meet the goal, I can set another goal, or I can congratulate myself for any step I take along the way to get to the goal.
So what for you is the difference then between a goal and a resolution?
I think a goal is aspirational, and a resolution is it's, for me personally, a recipe for failure.
Okay, so there's a mindset about the
Yes.
difference between the two. Okay.
Well, I guess I have a lot of goals. I've had the same goal for a number of years. I've not achieved it, so. The big overall goal in terms of, where I want to be dollar-wise has been the same for a while. So maybe I need some intermediate goals to get there.
Great, okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, and I think that we'll be touching on a lot of that as we go along. So part of what we want to talk about is, in the past, what kind of goals have you made? Can you give me an example of a goal that you might have created in the past?
Lose 10 pounds.
Lose 10 pounds, okay.
Gain 10 pounds.
Gain 10
I get that one every time. I'm so good at that goal.
That's an achievable
Every
one
5
for
years I
you.
get it.
Okay, what's another
Make a
goal?
resolution.
You have one, Tom, around revenue.
Yeah, my big goal is to have consistent $2 million a month closings, 24 months a year.
Okay, great. Anybody else have a goal that keeps coming up for them? Or a topic, not necessarily the goal itself, but a topic that comes up as they set goals? Okay, so how do you create them? Do they stay in your head? Do you write them down? What do you do with your goals?
Well, if you write them down, then you have to be accountable to them.
Mhm.
If you can find them.
Right, there you
Once you
go.
read them.
Or you can ignore the paper, right?
I have a spreadsheet for my business that I created, and it's kind of a dashboard. And I have on it how many clients I want to engage in different kinds of programs throughout the course of the year. And then I've got another tab on that dashboard, which is sort of just a list of prospects I'm working with, and then the third tab is closed business. So it gives me a chance to see at the very beginning what I need to do this year, who I can possibly do it with, and then what are the results, sort of month to month. And I found that until I started keeping track of it in a spreadsheet, I wasn't really keeping track of it at all.
So the spreadsheet is almost in a way steps to reaching your goal.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and a reminder.
Reminders.
I try to look at it every day,
Mhm.
usually, just to kind of see where I'm at. And, I've got sort of a list of potential revenue based on the prospects, which looks great, but it's potential, and I know it's gonna be a percentage of that. But it's kind of nice to see that number go up, because the more prospects, the more clients. And it's kind of a game, just a game to kind of keep that list growing. And that's the real key, is to keep adding to it, so.
Keeping it fresh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else want to say anything about the kinds of goals they create? Okay, so what's your success rate with keeping goals? Are you 50% successful? Less than that? More than that? What's your success rate?
I'd say more than 50% successful. But the goals that I set are very lofty.
Oh.
So they're not challenging too much.
They're safe.
They're safe goals, okay? So we will talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
And anybody else, 50%, less than that?
In terms of that overall 2 million per month, be less than 50% of the month, do I get that? And the real goal is to have to get it every month.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the intermediate steps, you know, I've taken the time of doing business plans and said, okay, I'm gonna start doing this, more resolution than it is a goal. And I have, of the 10 things I said I'm gonna do, I've maybe done 50% of them, but once they become part of my habit, I do them up, you know, then it's like, keep on doing them, I need to add more of those things to it, you know.
Great, great. So you have some procedures that you can do that sort of help you.
So I call them disciplines, you know.
Disciplines, great.
To do, there's a discipline of calling every customer every Tuesday. So that's kind of my trademark, my Tuesday morning update. And it kind of exceeds expectations and people, it's very memorable, so I pick up some new referral sources out of that.
Excellent.
But, again, there's other things I've said I'm going to do that I haven't done yet. That would probably be just as effective.
Great, okay. All right. So, now we'll talk a little bit about, there is a difference, and I think somebody mentioned it, and there is a difference between setting goals and having a to-do list that you check off. And we talk a little bit about what prompts us to make goals. Some of you shared this. We have dreams. We have dreams of what we want to accomplish, and so that prompts us. Sometimes it's customary, like making a New Year's resolution, but most of all, we make goals, I think, because we want to improve some aspect of our life, and that's why we think about it. But there is a step prior to goal setting that I believe is really key to helping that goal be successful, and that is thinking about your vision. And as Helen Keller said, it's a terrible thing to see and have no vision. So what you want to do is think about what is your overall vision. And think about it, whether it's a personal vision or a professional vision, what is your overall vision? It's something that you want to feel really passionate about. It's something that really jazzes you. It gives you energy when you think about your goals. So that's something that's really important to consider. So before you think about your goal, I'd like you to think about what is your vision, what gets you excited about your vision, and how will your life be different when your vision becomes a reality? And as Stephen Covey said, all things are created 2 times. There's a mental creation and the physical. So what I want you to do now is think about that mental creation of your vision, and then physically, what I'm going to ask you to do is put it down on your card. Dream big. Don't make it easy.
I can't do that.
The vision should be really big.
You're a banker, that's why.
And
Small.
so, if it helps, ask yourself these 2 questions. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? And what would you do if money was no object? Because we're talking big picture here. And then take a moment and write your vision on your card.
Is time no object as well?
Time could be no object. We'll talk about time a little later. And by the way, these cards are just for you. It will be purely optional at the end if you want to share a goal, but we won't share unless you want to. These are for you to take and keep. have time? Another way of looking at this question is how will your life be different when your vision becomes a reality? Another way of looking at that is what will you have when your vision is actually created? Because that then will transfer, that I think will help you find the real passion for why you want that vision and give you the energy to keep going forward with it. Another thing that people do, in addition to what I've just asked you to do, and that is to create a card with your vision on it, some people actually do vision boards, where they will cut out phrases or pictures and leave that near their desk or wherever they're going to see it often to remind them of that bigger picture. What is it that really gets them going? What is the reason they're doing all this? So then here's a quote that I just love from Yogi Berra, who has so many funny ones, and this one is, if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. So again, that's part of the reason for the vision. You could get to a point where you just don't know which way to turn, you don't know where you're going, the street signs don't even have any names on them. So that, for me, is the first step when I'm setting out to make a goal. I really want to know about my vision. Then, I want to tell you a little bit about goals and how they help you focus. They help you set the course. But at this point, we're not necessarily going to call them goals. We're going to say, what are the steps that you need to take so that your vision could become a reality? And so first, write down a few steps. And once you've written down 3 or 4 or more, if you can think of them, then prioritize those steps. Which ones are the most important to do first so that you can get to your vision? So write those on your card. I want to organize my email correspondence. There are those of us who might have hundreds in our inbox and we don't do anything with them, or thousands, as someone had just lip-synced to me. So that might be an area where you want to organize, but you want to make it specific. Because if you just say, I want to organize, and chances, I suspect, if your inbox has quite a few messages, perhaps your files aren't in that great shape either. And there might be other places you want to organize, but just focus on one thing for now. Then the measurable part, which will help you stay on track and keep to your target. I want to get my email correspondence into folders. Might have been the thing that would help get it there. But if you want to make it measurable, you can say, I want to organize at least 50 emails a day into folders. So there's your measurable piece. Because otherwise, if you have hundreds or thousands, there's no way you're going to do that in a short amount of time. So if you chunk it down and say, okay, I'm just going to do 50 today, that could be very helpful. Now, again, the achievable part. You don't want to make it so daunting that it's not something you really believe you can do, but on the other hand, you want to stretch yourself a little bit, because otherwise, what's the point of having a goal? So, again, going back to the email, and you want to make it achievable, how are you going to do those 50? So you're going to get all the emails filed in a day. That's what this person believes. No. I want to organize at least 50 emails into folders every week. So that makes it something that seems achievable. And who knows if it's a 5-day week, a 7-day week, but that could be a lot of emails that you've organized. The relevant goal, again, is doable, but still provides a little bit of a challenge. You have something overall in mind, and this goal is this part of the goal is one step closer to getting there. So, you might have said in your head that being organized also could make you more productive. So you say, I want to get my emails filed so that I can find correspondence more easily. And you add that to the other piece so that you know why you're doing it. It's a tie back to that vision thing to remind you why you're doing it. And then finally, the time-sensitive piece. Because if there's no time frame, then potentially it could go on forever. So you say, I want to accomplish this goal sometime in 2013. Well, that's pretty broad. I want to start organizing my email correspondence next week and file at least 50 emails a week into folders so that I have the whole task accomplished in 2 months. And that gives you that window. Okay, you're going to do it every week, but if it's today is February 15, by April 15, tax day, you're going to have it done. So that's the whole idea of SMART goals. Any thoughts on that? Any comments? Any questions on that?
One thing I tell people about relevant goals
Mm-hmm.
is that you talked about the vision piece.
Yep.
And I think I come across lots of people that have goals that they want to achieve that are not their own. That they feel that either through family pressure, peer pressure, the pressure of what other business owners are doing around them, that they want to achieve a revenue level, or they want to achieve a market share, or they want to achieve, whatever it is. But sometimes when you really, really get to the core of it, it's not something that they really are believing in terms of, they don't necessarily care about that goal. They just feel like they should be heading down that path for that goal. So, that's one thing to kind of challenge yourself often and say, do I really want this, or is this just the echo of somebody else's voice in the back of my mind saying, you should be this? I see it with a lot of students, you should be an accountant. You should get an accounting degree. I like music, Why you get an accounting degree? Well, my parents said it'd be a good job at the end of the tunnel,
Right.
And what's wrong with that?
Spoken as a.
That's a long conversation.
So that's really about checking in about the passion.
It is.
What is really passionate for
Yeah.
them? What lands for their value system? And we didn't really talk about that, but values, we're not talking about moral values, but the things that make us who we are. They're kind of part of our DNA. So it means that if we are people-oriented and we want to be out there doing things, we might not be wanting to sit in a cube being an accountant. That might not serve our values. If we're creative, we might want to be that musician.
Yeah.
So it's about making sure, checking in and saying, is this really landing for me? Is this really the vision that really makes me feel passionate, that makes me want to get up in the morning and achieve the things I have to achieve? Okay, so now it's your turn. So now, on the card, look at the steps that you wrote to get to your vision and choose one of the top priorities and write a goal related to that step on the card provided. And you have the different components of the goal on your agenda so that you can refer to it, or I can go back on the screen and you can see what they are. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Okay, so are you checking to make sure they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time sensitive? Do you have all those pieces? Okay, so now in this small, intimate, friendly setting, who would like to share their goal? Jeff. Thank you for being willing to share.
So, Cooley and I have talked about this as well. I know you got Jeff and Cooley, but
It's okay.
this is, I
It's a
need,
small, friendly, intimate.
That's right.
my goal, and I need to achieve this goal before I can achieve my vision, is I need to pass the GMAT test.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the steps in passing that GMAT test, and I need to I've set myself, it's time sensitive. So if I want to enter into an MBA program for the fall, I need to have this GMAT test pass. I need to pass this by July 30th. So if I set that goal and then work backwards from it, that means I need to be studying and taking practice tests between now, so February, March, April, and have the test dates scheduled for starting May. So if I take the test in May and don't pass it in May, then it gives me time to take it again, study again and pass it, and then take the schedule again in June. If I don't pass it, and hopefully I'll pass it the second time around.
Great. So going back to your vision then of taking the GMAT, getting your MBA, what is your vision about this? How is this related to your vision?
It is to have a graduate degree
Mm-hmm.
under my belt.
And where is the passion for that in terms of what will you have once you have that? What do you think you'll have?
That I'll have, it's going to help me ultimately in my career path, with that kind of degree, those kind of studies. The next step in my path is senior lender, managing a team, possibly. So that type of education, the people in those positions today have this type of education.
So you see your vision, it's very clear. I see that you even open your arms when you talk about it. And you've got a very specific, a very smart goal to get to one piece of that. So that's great. Good job.
Thanks.
Who else would like to share their SMART goal? And again, it's a warm, friendly, intimate group. If you need some help around shaping it, we'll be happy to do that. Tom?
I guess maybe I have some problem with the vision thing. I'm not that ambitious in terms of growing into another position. I like what I'm doing now. I think myself doing this and I'm doing till I retire. So if I answer the question honestly, if I knew I couldn't fail, I probably would just retire now and open up a pool hall at the university. However, I know I would fail at that because pool halls lose money all the time. So it'd have to be a hobby room that I didn't really make money on. So that's my vision, is getting through the next 20 years. Not that I hate what I'm doing, but my vision is to retire and to live in Hawaii. If money were no object, I'd be in Hawaii, running a pool hall. So what do I have to do to get there? I need to make a lot of money and save a lot of money. Then there's a lot of, the things I already have written down, things I need to start doing. I just need to start meeting with one realtor a week, every week. I need to have time, I need to have my time scheduled out like Tuesday is and have time blocked out for marketing. I need to stay in touch with prospects. A lot of times I spend a lot of time pre-approving somebody and then say bye, never see you again.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to have an automated system that stays in touch with them. I need to ask for referrals at time of application, which I don't. I wait till closing and then I may forget. But throughout the process, I need to be asking for more business, and I need to follow up with the listing agents, with the agent that I don't know that I maybe have impressed during the transaction. I need to really follow up with them and ask for referrals. So I think those are measurable, very specific, but that's a long way from living in Hawaii. Too long.
So you might be the perfect candidate for having one of those vision boards. Would that be helpful to you to put up pictures of Hawaii and the pool hall? And do you play pool now?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay. So would it be helpful to have that in front of you to keep that as a motivator for getting to where you want to go?
You could. I could think about
Okay.
that.
And which of all those steps that you've mentioned is the one that you want to focus on now? Because that's a lot to take on right away. It's like the person saying, I've got 1,000 emails in my inbox, and I'm going to get rid of all of them this week. I'm going to find a system to do that. So which one of those steps do you think is the most important?
I think it's the blocking out time frames to do, schedule, having what I call a flight plan for each week.
Mm-hmm.
So that I have time to say, okay, on Friday I'm going to do the marketing piece. On Thursday I'm going to do the phone call to realtors, so that I know what I'm doing like I don't want to do it on Tuesday. On Thursday is going to be my day to do X, and then the other pieces might fall into place more easily.
Okay. So your SMART goal then might be to structure some kind of weekly schedule for yourself. And does that seem doable? Does that seem achievable?
It does. But it's something I've told myself I've had to do for at least 2 or 3 months, and I haven't done it. I do get very, I think like Karen said, the task in front of me, the squeaky wheel. I go back today, I'm not going to do any of this because I've got emails coming in that I need to pay attention to, rates are going up. And so on Sunday night, I should sit down and do it. But there might be a good TV show on. Monday will come, and I'm back to the grind.
And how much time do you think you'd need to put this schedule, map it out?
Not that long, really. I mean, Half an hour, probably.
Half an
Just-
hour,
just
okay.
To think it through.
So when do you think you could find a half an hour to do it?
The weekend would be the best time.
Because it sounds like during the week, you're spending a lot of time working in your business and not on your business. And that's really what you want to do to set up this plan, is spend more time working on your business. Okay. So then your SMART goal might include, I want to set up a weekly schedule, and I'm going to set aside a half an hour on Saturday to put it in place. Does that seem like something you could do?
It does, yeah.
Okay, and then we'll talk later about how you get the action items to actually do that, how you get there. Okay. Good job, that's great. You've given us a lot of great information about how you want to grow your business, how you want to put systems in place, and for you, it sounds like the conversion to actually taking the action is where life gets in the way.
Right.
It just makes it hard to do.
Even the weekend, you know, the phone will ring, and, you know, I'll wake up, put a pot of coffee on, pretty soon it's 2 o'clock. And I play pool at 2 o'clock. That's all scheduled out, my pool time is all scheduled out.
Okay, so that really is a passion then. You wouldn't miss that for the world. Okay, that's great to know. So somehow, some of these things may not feel as passionate as, or as drawing in as the pool, but maybe there's a way that you can make them a little more enticing so that you can get there.
Well, it also is a commitment, you know, I'm in a league, and if I don't show up, somebody doesn't have a match, and so it's more of a, you know, believe me, I'd push it aside if it wasn't for the fact that, you know, other people are depending on me to be there.
Great, okay, and we'll talk about that too, in terms of how you can have a little more accountability about your goal. Because we can all sit down, write these wonderful goals, stick them on our desk, and if we don't do them, you know, how many times have I said, okay, Monday, that's it, I am going to have a carb-free week, and then doesn't happen, and okay, who cares, because nobody else knew but me that I was making that goal. So the next week, I'll try again. But it's not having that accountability, that commitment to somebody. Okay, great job. Who else would like to share their goal?
Well, this, as I said, I have this dashboard, so I was just kind of thinking about the things that I have on it now. And there were a couple of different areas here that have kind of drifted. One of them is, you know, in addition to the business coaching that I do executive coaching. So I find, you know, people who are executives as opposed to people who own the business but who work for someone else. And there are 6 people that I have had on my list to call to talk about, not turning them into prospects, but just talk to them about executive coaching and do a little market research and figuring out what the best next steps are for me. And those would ultimately lead to 6 executive coaching clients this year, which would be, you know, really great in terms of the overall revenue that it would produce for my family. But I've hesitated to call all of them. And as I was doing this, I thought, I need to put a deadline on it. So I need to set up these appointments by the end of February because it's got to get started. I got to get going. On top of that, I made a little note to myself here, and I said, you can't delay because you're not sure how they'll react.
Is that what's holding you
And I think
back?
that's what's holding me back, because there are some people on this list that are very, very, very successful, and I think maybe I'm a little intimidated, because they have, I mean, there's a couple of billionaires on that list that I know and have done work with, but haven't maybe had the guts to get up and just give them a call. And they, you know, and they know me, so it's not like it would be a cold call, right?
Right.
But it's just that piece of it, and I thought, that's definitely something I have to put a time frame around, because if it doesn't happen in February or March, you know, by the time what I learn from them can be implemented, it will be into the middle of the year. So it's got to start now, you know, otherwise it'll be another, you know, 6 months before anything gets going.
So a couple of things I heard there. One is great noticing that you figured out good coaching, Cooley. What's holding you back?
Right.
What the little myth is
Yeah.
you're telling yourself that's keeping you from doing it.
Right.
And the second thing is, I heard the passion come through when you talked about your family and how doing this would be something that would be great for your whole family.
Yeah.
And that's where your passion is.
Yeah.
So if that can be you can be mindful of that
Yeah.
as you make the courage
Right.
to make those calls.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's, when we did the vision piece of it, my vision is to become, you know, an internationally known speaker and coach and author. And that's my ultimate vision, because I think I can educate, entertain, and inspire people. That's kind of my mantra. But all of the whys behind it were things like have no debt, have no tuition anxiety, have a second home, you know, not drive a 12-year-old Mitsubishi Galant with 290,000 miles on it, you know. It's all those, you know, a lot of those are material things, but it's a sense of ease of lifestyle if I can get to the point where I think I can get through what I know I can do. And a lot of it is just, you know, to provide for the family.
Great, great.
That's what drives me, ultimately.
Yep. And you do have what it takes, for sure.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I don't lack in confidence, but except around, you know, billionaires.
See, there,
I think we'd all be a little intimidated.
there's always a point where. All right, thanks for sharing that. Who else would like to share?
I'll go.
Yay!
So, around my business that most of you know is Write Connections, and I write and I connect people. But a couple of years ago, I decided that I don't want to take just any writing job that doesn't bring me joy. I can do everything but technical writing, but I don't like doing the things that paid the bills in the past. What I like to do is write biographies and gather testimonials and success stories.
She does a good job of it. She's doing some for me, just wanted to live.
With billionaire, no. You didn't introduce me to the billionaire
Someone will.
because, you know. But, and that, I think I let go of how much money that was going to bring me, because I have a safety net of someone who's providing for me. So it is true that I'm doing now what I want to do, and I'm not saying yes to assignments that I don't want to do. But relevant to this workshop, my vision is to become a philanthropist. That's my vision. And what I would like to do is, and some of you know the background, which I won't take time to go into, but I'm starting a nonprofit, and it's going to target girls. And I've done everything, I feel like everything I've done to this point has led me to this. And my ultimate goal would be, at Thanksgiving, my family lives on the Jersey Shore. A ton of my family lives on the Jersey Shore. And we were down assessing the damage from Hurricane Sandy. And I just wish I had, when I saw people standing in the street, I just wish I had $100 to give to everybody. Is that going to solve their problem? No. But I would love to do that. Closer to home, you know, the nonprofit will have a component of young ladies and group homes. That's where it started. And so the three things I wrote down, the first, I forget what we were creating a vision, I guess, was to continue networking, to meet awesome people with appropriate connections, to accept help, because I don't know about you, but I can do everything all by myself. And, you know, that's just not true. I need help. And to welcome every opportunity. And the action items I jotted down were to write a mission statement, which is, you know, I also do that for businesses. And I also love to do that. I should add that to my three things. I really enjoy helping companies write a mission statement. So I can write my own. I want to update the board of advisor letters to selected people to sit on the board of advisors, and I'm going to do that by April 1st. And the third thing is to schedule the first board meeting. There only have to be 2 a year, so yay!
Great, that's great.
Wow.
So what comes across for me from what you said is, as we talked earlier about values, and what we have as values, your value is generosity and giving. And so this is how that serves you and becomes part of your vision, because you want to serve others by giving. And so your goal is to find a way to do that through this organization that you'll be creating.
Well, when I said accept help and welcome every opportunity, in the past month, less than a month, through the chamber, two amazing young ladies, I cry all the time, so sorry, but two amazing young chamber members approached me and said they wanted to help. And what held me back in the past is I don't have the legal expertise, I don't have the financial expertise, I have the passion. And they have taken me and said, come on, we're gonna go, we're
Right.
working with you,
Right.
we're gonna do it. And so now, all I have to do, well, all I have to do, it's a lot still, but I no longer have to worry about the financial aspect. And to wrap it up, one of them said to me, and we're gonna set this up in a way that you'll be able to earn money, which I didn't even consider
Yeah.
was possible. And I said, really? And she said, yes, really. See, I didn't know that. So that's
That's
what I
great.
mean by welcome every opportunity and accept help.
Great. Excellent. And great for stepping up and only doing the things that you really feel joyful about, not doing things that you're doing just for the sake of doing them. Another quote, which I'll have to paraphrase, is Confucius said, way back, 500 BC, choose a job you love and you'll never feel like you're working another day in your life. So that sounds like the path you're headed. Okay, so now we all have these wonderful goals. But the next step is to have an action plan. Because, as I said, it's great, it's there, but having that plan of action is vital to the success of the goals. Because if you have a goal with no plan of action, it's like saying you're going to get in your car, and I know you'll appreciate this metaphor, because Kathleen is of her own announcing directionally challenged. Get in your car and you're going to say, I'm going to drive to Wyoming, and yet you have no idea how to get there. So you have that goal, but you've got to have an action plan, which for some of us might be a map or a GPS, but we have that action plan in place. So when you want to develop your action plan, you want to keep your written goal visible so that it's there. It's almost like it's impressed right up here. You don't even have to look at the card. You know what it says, and you're keeping that in your mind all the time. And then, just as you did the steps related to your vision, you want to develop action items related to that goal. So if one of the items is calling the marketing person by such and such a date, well, how are you going to do that? Do you have to look up the number? What day are you going to do it? How much time are you going to allow for that? Those are the action steps that you're needing to put in place to make sure it happens. And then, even though your goal has gone through this process, every so often you want to check in to make sure if that goal is still relevant to your vision and check back. Then this is where it gets into almost like the to-do list that we have that is working in our business, and we check things off. But the difference is now, anything we do, we're checking back to say, is that getting me closer to my goal? Is that getting me closer to my vision? And if it isn't, then should I be doing that right now? Is that really the priority? So you want to be asking yourself, at the beginning of each day or the end of each day, what can I do today? If you're doing it at the end of each day, which sometimes that's what I used to do, you would say, what can I do tomorrow? But if you're doing it in the morning, what can I do today to get closer to achieving that goal that you wrote on the card? And then I do believe having an accountability partner is essential. Not just yourself, but someone. Whether it's someone in your family who will hold you accountable, someone in your business, a coach, whatever. But have somebody that you're sharing your vision with who will keep you accountable. Not that they're going to point their finger at you or make you feel badly if you don't get to your goal, but they're going to be there to really help you and ask the questions, what's getting in the way? What can you do to make that different? So what do you get when you attain your goal? You may feel more motivated to make more goals. You may demonstrate that you've used your time more wisely, that you have more time, and that is what really energizes you to keep going with your goals. And it could also build your self-confidence. That's something I've been wanting to do. I got through the GMAT. That builds your confidence. And always remember that when you write a goal, it should be a positive statement. It should not be, I'm going to pass the GMAT, and yes, you're building in time in case time one you don't do it, but not, well, I hope I pass it, but I'm going to pass that GMAT. So make it a positive thing. And then when you do, imagine the confidence you'll have. So lastly, I'll say, keep on going. Shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars.